Hello, and welcome to Coffee with Jesus. I'm your host, Todd Uebele. Folks, this has been quite the year for yours truly. And in some of the episodes in the latter half of our fourth season, I've shared a little bit of that, and I've invited you on the journey along with me. And the idea with that was so I could not only show you how God has helped me in the past, but to show you in kind of a real time, hey, I'm going through a trial, I'm going through a storm, and God is with me, and here is how God is taking care of me throughout the storm. And as things started to settle down, I was able to share a little bit more about how God had helped me through the storms and through the trials that I had faced this year. As we start to wrap up our fourth season of this podcast, I would like to share how not only will God be there with us, not only does God take care of us, give us the comfort and the strength that we need, not only does He answer our prayers. Folks, sometimes God will answer our prayers in such a way that is so far beyond what we could even have imagined. And what I would like to do in this episode is share a few examples of how God has not only helped me when I faced some sort of difficulty, not only answered my prayer, but He did so in such a way that went so far beyond what I could have imagined. One of those examples that I would like to share is from one of the trials that my family and I had faced this year. I've mentioned how this year, around February timeframe, we received an email from our landlord. The owner of the place that we are renting wanted to sell his house, so they would not be renewing our lease. This meant that we had to move for the second time inside a year, and we were still recovering from our previous move into the place. Oh, and the move had to happen right about the time that my youngest was going to be graduating college. So this proved very stressful for us. Well, I did pray about it a lot, believe me. I prayed about this a good bit. But God heard me. God heard each prayer. After a few months, we received an email from the landlord saying, hey, the owner wants to hold off on selling his house. Would you all consider a month-to-month? And I sent an email back asking about the time and, how much notice we could get. And then finally they came back and said, hey, would you all consider signing a 3-month lease? And folks, this 3-month lease, it was an answer to prayer, because what I didn't know was going to happen at the time, my father passed away. And then as I had mentioned, my youngest was graduating, and trying to move with all this other stuff going on, that 3-month extension, that was an answer to prayer. And that lifted such a huge burden off my shoulders. Well, folks, the story doesn't end there, because not too long ago, I received another email from the landlord, and the owner of the property has decided to just hold off on selling his place and wanted to know would we be interested in extending that 3-month lease to a full year. So basically an additional 9 months. It would be as if we had signed another 1-year lease when our original lease was set to expire. So what it really boils down to is we're good for another year. We don't have to move at all. I'm going to be honest, while that 3-month extension was an answer to prayer, I was still stressing over how we were going to make this move work out. But now, again, we've got this place for a whole other year. And folks, this wasn't just an answer to prayer. This was God answering my prayer and then taking things to a level beyond what I could even imagine. He didn't just help us out. He didn't just grant what I had asked for. He granted what I asked for and then more than I could have imagined, more than I could have hoped for. And folks, I'm going to be honest with you. I wanted to ask God for another extension. And I was timid in the way that, not that I doubted He would do it, but I didn't want to push my luck, I guess you could say. I didn't want to really just ask for too much. But here's the thing, folks. With God, you really can't ask for too much. You know, when you need help, when you are in need, God will provide, and you can't ask for too much. In fact, it turned out that I wasn't asking for enough, because not only did God answer my prayer, but he went so far above and beyond what I had asked for. And he helped us out so much more than I had even imagined he would do. You know, with God, all things are possible. Folks, I could write a volume of books sharing how much God has done for me and how many prayers he has answered, how many trials he has taken me through. But what I'd like to do now is to show you all, using, examples from my own life, how God, yes, he will take us through those storms. He will help us when we face those trials. But sometimes he will go so far above and beyond what we're asking for, and so far above and beyond what we even imagined was possible that he could do for us. Folks, another time that God went above and beyond in what I had even imagined he would do was after Hurricane Katrina. And I've shared about Hurricane Katrina in a past episode or two, and I've shared how God helped me through that period. He helped my family and I, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. He really helped us out. And when it came to the physical, he helped us find a new place to live. He helped us just rebuilding our lives, because after Hurricane Katrina hit, I found my entire life was literally washed out to sea. And folks, God did not just answer my prayers and provide for my family and I. This was another instance where he went so far above and beyond what I even imagined he would do. And it's just awesome. It's amazing. I mean, it's indescribable, to be honest with you. We literally had the clothes on our backs, and that was it. And folks, help came from all over. From family, from friends, from complete strangers. I mean, one time we were at the gas station, and this was on our way back from when we first got back to our house. So we were staying with family in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we drove down to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. We went into our house, and we realized that it was lost. Everything was lost. There were a few kids' clothes that we could throw in the back, and that was about it. And on the way back to Charlotte, I had stopped at a gas station, and the guy next to me, he was kind of looking at a car. I guess he saw just kind of a random assortment, kind of a mess in the back of our station wagon. And then he saw our Mississippi plates, and he kind of looked at me, and he's like, was it Katrina? And then I said, yeah. I said, honestly, this right here is everything we own right now. And he's like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. And he went in to pay for his gas, and he came out, and he just handed me $20. Just some stranger at the gas pump handed me $20 and said, here, I know it's not a lot, but hopefully this will help you with what you need. When we were buying furniture, we had finally found another place to live, and the guy asked for my phone number, and I had to pull out my phone. I looked at it, and I apologized. I just said, I'm sorry, brand new phone. I don't know the number yet. And he kind of looked at me, and then, as we were talking, it came out, yeah, we just came out from Mississippi. Yeah, we're kind of replacing some of our stuff, as we can. And he just gave me a discount just because. When we moved into our new place, we were renting a place, and the landlord, he owned the place. He was both the owner and the landlord. And so he knew his neighbors, and he knew our story. And the neighbors, when they introduced themselves, they came over and they just brought stuff. I mean, dishes, coffee mugs, silverware, stuff you don't really think of, stuff you kind of take for granted, but stuff we didn't have. I mean, folks, when I tell you that we lost everything, I mean we lost everything. Like I said, there was some of the kids' clothes, and that was it. So we literally needed everything to rebuild our lives. including forks and knives and plates and coffee mugs. One of my friends came by to visit while we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, and her family brought us hampers, brooms, a lamp. It's stuff you don't necessarily think about, but it's stuff that you need. A man at our church, he said, what do you all need? And I said, well, we need tires, because our tires were kind of bald at that point. And he said, all right, bring your car in, and I'll give you 4 brand new tires. And we got 4 brand new, top grade tires for free. Folks, I could just go on and on with the examples. But God didn't just help us. He didn't just meet our needs. He went above and beyond with what we needed and beyond what I imagined we could even get. I'd mentioned earlier in this episode how I was a little trepidatious to ask God for more help because he had helped me out so much already, and I felt kind of like Abraham when God was going to destroy the city, and Abraham went before God and was like, well, what if there are 100 righteous? Well, what if there's 50? Well, God, forgive me, but what if there's 10, And Abraham kept asking. I kind of felt like that, and I didn't want to push my luck. Well, one thing I've learned recently, ladies and gentlemen, is that you can't push your luck with God, because God is faithful. God will help you. God will take care of you. God will provide for you. And sometimes, folks, he won't just provide for you. He won't just give you the help he asked for. He will go above and beyond in ways that you couldn't even imagine. Our God truly is an awesome God. Folks, I would like to give just one more example. And this is from when I was in Afghanistan. And this wasn't necessarily an answer to my own particular prayer, but rather for the family and the friends and my brothers and sisters in Christ who were praying for my safety while I was in Afghanistan. There was one particular incident where God did not just keep me safe, where I really believe he just went above and beyond. I was a member of a convoy, and we were being escorted to a particular site by some of the Afghan National Police. And they took us through some twists and turns, down some very narrow roads, and at one point we got off the main road and off the dirt road, and it was barely even a path at this point, and they drove us into what looked like an abandoned village. And they drove us into the center of the village, and then they stopped, and the whole convoy stopped, and then our escorts, they drove off. They just left. And folks, it's hard to describe where they left us exactly, except to say that this was the perfect spot for an ambush. And every single one of us in that convoy was ready for an ambush. We were expecting it. And the time it passed so slowly. It was probably maybe 10-15 minutes, but it felt like hours. And every second that ticked by, we were waiting for it. We were waiting for an attack that never came. Folks, our situation was not unusual. There were plenty of times where some of the Afghan National Police would take coalition troops and lead their convoys into places and then take off. And then those convoys would be ambushed by the Taliban or by Al-Qaeda. And that is exactly what we were expecting. And by all rights, that's what should have occurred. But we were very lucky. We were very blessed because maybe 10-15 minutes later, our escorts came back and they guided us to the site that we were originally supposed to go to. And the thing is, there was a lot of backtracking to get to that site. We backtracked on some of these paths and twisty, turny roads, but we made it to the site and we were able to accomplish our mission and get back to our base that day. I know that there were people back home who were praying for me, and in this particular case, their prayers were answered, because every single member of that convoy knew. Each of us read the situation and had the same exact expectations. And we later learned that there was intelligence that something like this was going to occur. And folks, I gotta tell you, I'm alive right now because of God's protection. And not just because of God's protection, but because God not only answered the prayers of His saints, He not only answered the prayers of my brothers and sisters, He truly went above and beyond, and He protected me and my mates that were part of that convoy. He protected that entire convoy and brought us all back safely that day. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the point of what I'm trying to say in this episode is be bold. Go out there, ask God for the help you need, and then ask God for more. Because God will help you. God will get you through that storm. He will assist you and be with you when you face each and every trial. But folks, God will not just help you. He will not only guide you through that storm. He will not only carry you through that trial. God will go above and beyond what you had asked for. God will go above and beyond what you could even imagine. Y'all know, if you've been listening for a while, I've been through quite a bit in my life. And God has helped me through each and every storm I've faced. He has carried me through each and every trial. And in a lot of cases, He not only provided me with the help that I needed, He went above and beyond my wildest imagination, beyond what I even thought He would do. So folks, when you're facing your storm, cry out to God. Ask Him for the help you need. Expect that He will help you, because He will. And folks, don't be surprised if God goes above and beyond what you even imagined was possible. Because our God is an awesome God. Our God created the entire universe. Our God can accomplish anything. So, cry out to Him and know that He will provide you the help you need, and then some. Know that God will carry you through and provide you help beyond your imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, as we bring our 4th season to a close, I would like to invite you to provide feedback to us. You can do this directly from your mobile device. In your podcasting application, there should be a link at the very top of the episode description that says send us a text. You can click on that and you can text us directly your feedback. For those of you who watch this on our website or on YouTube or Rumble, you can send us an email. You may email us at feedback@coffeewithjesus.info. We very much look forward to receiving any and all feedback. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And may God bless each and every one of you.